Okay, guys, and to cap off basically preparation, at this point you have Nexus or you have some kind of synth that has organized presets that are directly related to the sound you're trying to make. You should have the Mix Assistant, an awesome frequency masking help of Neutron. You should have a very powerful mastering suite with presets that I use and really pretty much set it and forget it and export the song out, as well as a mastering assistant in Ozone. Perhaps you went for Insight as well on the iZotope website for other audio projects if you're like me, but as I said, not necessary. You also helped yourself with um, saving time on needing to make MIDI chord progressions by buying my MIDI pack and by also buying Captain Chords and Captain Melody, which the two of them can speak to each other very nicely, so you're always in key and melodies are never generated twice, which is nice. And then of course, routing back to my MIDI pack, if you bought that, um, all the chords obviously have 3 notes in them, so thinking super grassroots about it, those 3 notes are safe to use to make a melody. So kind of a cool cheat that's kind of hidden in plain view right in front of you. Um, One thing I will say is be careful about using any MIDI pack, whether it's mine or somebody else's, with Captain Melody, because if you're using a MIDI pack that's already on your arrangement line here in Ableton or whatever DAW you're using, and then you go to use Captain Melody, you can run into problems because Melody isn't speaking to your DAW and can't see what chords you've used. So even if you put Captain Melody in um, the right key, it still doesn't necessarily know what chords went first, what chord went second, what chord went third, what chord went fourth, how long. So it's sort of generating melodies by flying blind, and sometimes that can create way more work for you than needed. So either use my MIDI pack and look up the notes that are safe to use within that key to make a melody, hammer out a melody on your keyboard, or understand that if you're using my MIDI pack, every chord has 3 notes in it, so you can basically use those 3 notes to make the melody on top of that chord, if that makes sense. Since we're on the subject of chords very quickly, I would just like to show you something that was in the 30-day power production course, but should be revisited because part of my advanced production course is showing you more than one way to get to the end result because different things happen in life. Uh, Hard drives act funny. Maybe you don't have room on your hard drive to download any more plugins. Maybe you forgot your hard drive that you plug into your laptop at home, which has all of your MIDI packs and presets and samples on it. And you find yourself without that hard drive at a cafe, but 3 hours on your hands to produce. What do? If you forgot your hard drive with all your stuff on it at home, but you're at a cafe and you're ready to produce, well, you can do this, for example. So you'll make a MIDI clip, and let's just make it easy and start on C. So C, C major, by the way, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, copy that. C major scale. Now here's the cool thing about this. If I fold this, I now have the C major scale and can more or less never hit a wrong note because it's folded. When it's unfolded, there's certain notes that you don't want to hit because they're out of the scale, they're out of the key of C major. When you fold it though, you're never out of that key. So, the cool thing about this, let's go ahead and select on the timeline and then Control E if you're on PC, otherwise known as just splitting, I think. Whoops. I think splitting. Split, yeah, Control E for me, or just click split. So that's the chords you don't want to stray from, or the notes you don't want to stray from. Now, if you want the chords, basically you skip one. So C, skip one, E, skip one, G. That's your one chord right there. C major, the first chord. Control E, split, name it. If I can find this, for crying out loud. Am I missing something here? I feel like I'm missing. There we go. Name it. You could put C major 1, right? And then what you'll do is you'll go down the line and do that again. Skip, 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 split, rename. This is your 2 chord. You can do I, or you can do 2, right? Next one. Skip, skip, skip. It's a cool trick, guys, because when you fold it, you can't go wrong. That's the cool thing about this. Split, rename, whoops. That's your 3rd chord. 5, and basically you just continue on doing this. Split, rename, that's your 4 chord. Now I need to unfold this, and what I need to do is take my original notes here, and I just need to control, click, and shift up an octave, so that way I have room to keep moving up the scale. So now where did I leave off on? F. Click on this. I just want to make sure because it looks kind of funkalicious. Skip, 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 every other one as we've been doing. Oops, we got to split it. Control E, rename it, Control R. That's your 5 chord. And you just keep going up the line by every other one, just like I've done. The 1, every other one. Same thing, every other one. Okay, keep going down the line. You'll have all the chords in the C major scale, and now basically what you can do is we can rename this kind of whatever you want to do, C major scale. Now what you're beginning to see here is the building blocks of what notes you can and can't hit, and since everything is folded, you can't hit a wrong note, and now you have every single chord basically at your disposal within the key of C, C major to be specific. So let this one be your template. Come over here, Control D, duplicate it. You can rename this one, Control R. You can name this one C major, and then you can name this one C chords. All the difference is this one you never touch. This one will stay in this session forever. This session could be your C major session if you want, or your future bass session, your house session, whatever you want it to be. This is the one that you'll mangle and move stuff around and screw around with and look for different chord progressions. But in the end, no matter what you do, let's just go like this, to the green one, it really doesn't matter, because no matter how you mangle the green and mess with it and move the patterns around and this and that, the blue is your template. The blue is never messed with. You can use it to reference stuff, but the green will be the actual chords played. So you'll shut this one off so it doesn't sound or isn't voiced in your session. You can basically do this with every single chord in the major scales and every single chord or scale, if you will, in the minor scales. Will it take you some time? Sure. But at the end, you can save it. You can even export MIDI. Where is that? Export MIDI clip, and you can make your own MIDI pack. You don't really need to because I did it for you, but you know, if you worked on this for a day, you would have every chord in the major scales and every chord in the minor scales, and not only would they be in your sessions, but if you looked on your desktop or wherever you saved your exported MIDI clips to, they'd be on your computer free range, and you can drag and drop those as needed. Think about this, taking it a step further, you can even do things like export chord progressions. So not only do you have it in your session here, you have a folder on your computer with every chord you could ever need, and then you have common chord progressions. So you could do something like this, the 1, 4, 5 chord progression, select it, export. Oh, it's not going to let me. Okay, wait. You can do a Control J, and I think if you consolidate it, maybe it'll let me then. There we go. So all I did was combine all three into one bigger MIDI clip of the 1, 4, 5 chord. I export that MIDI clip, and now I've got a common chord progression that's used in all kinds of different styles of music all over the place. Now, if you did that, and you just jumped on Google or Yahoo and basically searched common chord progressions in EDM, common chord progressions in pop music, common chord progressions in future bass, common chord progressions in house music, or whatever it might be, you come into your DAW, you go ahead and arrange common chord progressions, and now you've got them. You could even call this a C major 1, 4, 5 progression. Export it as that, save it to your desktop in a folder, and now anytime you need a 1, 4, 5 progression, you'll go into that folder, and because you'll spend a day or two doing this, the 1, 4, 5 progression you'll have in every key, C major, D major, G major, just pick whatever scale or key, that you want to be in. And whatever key you're in or want to be in, you just pull the 1, 4, 5 chord progression or individual chords, and you can go to town on that. So that's a workaround if you don't want to spend the money on Captain Chords and Captain Melody. But at some point, I would probably just bite the bullet and have both things at your disposal, so that way if and when different things happen in life, or you transfer to different computers, or you just need one computer that you travel with that doesn't have a bunch of plugins loaded in on it, bogging it down, you at least have like a backup folder of ideas and MIDI clips and samples that can get you through a weekend trip to grandma's house and still making music at a high level without having CPU heavy plugins like Nexus, Ozone, Neutron, and Captain Chords and Captain Melody. So, a couple of little cheats there for you guys. Enjoy.